Good afternoon. This is that one guy broadcasting from snowy Holland. It occurred to me today that all of my tutorials and such things as those, well, they were more geared towards people who knew how to fly. So I figured, you know what? I'm gonna help out the newcomers to KSP. I'm gonna show you guys things that you can do, things that are useful, I suppose. Ways that you should progress in order to have the most fun with the game, and the way that you're not going to feel frustrated with the game. So I'm going to just keep these tutorials to the bare minimum to what you need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually, before I do that, we're going to take a walk around the Space Center. This here is a runway, pretty self-explanatory. You click on it, brings up craft. This is a space plane hangar. You can build space planes in here. We're not going to be visiting there for a while yet. This is a tracking station, and the way I'm doing this is I'm left clicking on all of these things to bring up the stuff. So we can use the camera controls, which right click, you click and drag will show you things. The MUN is right there. This is Kerbal. We can use the scroll wheel to zoom out and see other planetary bodies. This is the Kerbal system right here. We can zoom out further and see the inner planet orbits right here. We've got Maho, Eve, Kerbal, Duna, which is basically Mars and my personal favorite target. Drez, which is Squad. The developers of the game call it a dwarf planet. It's not really. It's small, but it doesn't fit into the classification of a dwarf planet. It fits into the classification of a planet because it doesn't intersect orbits. However, Ilu out here is a dwarf planet. As you see, it goes inside the orbit, if we scroll up enough, of this, the gas giant, Jool. Fun place to go, hard place to get back from. So if we scroll back in, boom, there we go. That's home. So we can click this back button right here to come back to here. This is the launch pad. If we click on that, it brings up a whole list of ships that I have created for a whole nother game and stuff like that. So now we're going to go to the VAB. Now, here's what we've got. I'm going to run you through the parts first, because that's one thing about KSP. It's really, 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 really big on having a lot of parts. These are called pods. As you see right here, it says pods. If you just mouse over that. The top three right here are cockpits, and those are used for planes and space planes, so naturally we're not going to be touching them for a while. These two right here are called command pods. They are used in mostly rockets like the Mercury, the Gemini, the Apollo missions. They don't really have a good Soyuz analog, but same thing there. This is a lander can. It's used for stuff. I'll explain it later. These are what we're going to be playing with today. They're, let me see, Probodyne. They're probes. They are remote control things. So we're going to select one, and that will initiate the building process. Now the first thing we need is a name. Being a student of Latin and knowing how this thing is probably going to play out, we're going to call it the Lapis 1. We're going to click Save in order to save it up. Now here we have all things fuel. We have these fuel tanks up here, which are rocket fuel tanks. And you're probably wondering what's the difference between rocket fuel and anything else. Well, these, as you see, they have liquid fuel and oxidizer. I can't really show you with my mouse without losing the box, but under resources it tells you what's in there. Down here, the fuselages, they only have liquid fuel, and they are mostly used in airplanes and space planes. Right here we have a cross-connector fuel duct. It allows fuel to go from fuel tank A to fuel tank B. It's advanced design, and we'll get to it in a minute. And by a minute, I mean probably a couple episodes. These are all rocket motors. They're liquid fuel. Pretty cool. Coming over to here, we've got some more exotic engines, like an atomic rocket motor, great for long-distance travel. We've got some side-mounted stuff. We've got a toroidal air spike. Some advanced jet engines. Here we've got some solid rocket boosters. Those are really low weight, really high thrust. used to get out of the atmosphere. And here we have what are called RCS, that stands for Reactive Control Surface, or System, I'm sorry. I speak English. Reactive Control System, fuel tanks, and in the real world I believe they shoot out liquid nitrogen in order to affect the direction which the spacecraft is traveling. Coming over to here we have control. This is an advanced SAS. Think of it as a missile guidance computer. It will lock on your craft to a bearing and inclination above the horizon, I guess is the best way to describe it. We are going to need one of these eventually because we are mounting this thing, well, on a rocket. So I'm just going to put it there for now. This is a larger version for the Apollo missions, and you'll see I'm getting rid of these things. When you bring them out here, you can left-click to put them down, left-click to pick them back up, move them back over into the gray and left-click, they go away. This we're not going to worry about right now, but it's another ASAS. This is just the SAS. It's a gyroscope. Please excuse me. It's a gyroscope which allows the craft to not spin around. Now the ASAS does the same thing, but it also does other things. This is a thruster block. It is what the nitrogen comes out of. This we're not going to worry about. Structural is exactly what it sounds like. It allows you to add structure to your rocket. It has all sorts of adapters, structural fuselage, decouplers in both the radial and stack variety. We're only going to worry about stack for right now. And they come in a mind-blowing number of sizes. So, like as you see here, that's just a stack decoupler. We've got bicouplers, we've got tricouplers, which allow you to expand your rocket into weird shapes. We have a multi-part hole connector, which is mostly used for space stations and space cruisers and things you build in orbit and things that you're not even ready to tackle. No offense, it takes a while to get there. Now we can click on the next page. We've got girders and segments and adapters and struts and wonderful things. This is a T-18A launch stability enhancer. It's basically a clamp so that your rocket stays stable right before you launch it. Now you don't need them all the time, but I like using them. Over here we have all things aerodynamic. We've got flaps, we've got control surfaces, we've got wings, we've got nose cones, we've got air intakes, we've got winglets. Everything that you would need to maneuver in the atmosphere. Utility is what it sounds like. We've got habitation modules, docking clamps, weird ion propulsion engines that we're not even going to begin to touch right now. Batteries, which we do need batteries, so we're going to pull them out. We've got ladders, solar panels, landing struts, like landing legs for a lander. Landing. Yes, let's use land some more. Parachutes, which we will need. Landing gear, solar panels, weird fuel tank lights, ladders, and let's see, there was something exotic in here, I remember that. Oh right, yes, this. The plutonium-238, the BU-238, radioisotope generator. It's a nuclear power source. It's interesting and squiffy. It's used for deep space stuff, I think. Science, we will need that because this is a scientific high atmosphere probe, and hopefully we can get up there today. So let's bring out the Communicatron 16 so that if you're role-playing you can talk to your probe. And we're going to take a look at two buttons right here. Snap to angle. If you left-click it, it becomes a circle or a hexagon. You want the hexagon. It's easier to build. The circle just gives you a lot smoother build design, and it's interesting. Over here we have the symmetry mode. If we left-click, it goes up, and you see what the symmetries are. This is 4 times, 6 times, 8 times, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. If you right-click, it goes down. So let's say we want 4 of these guys, right here, the Communicatrons, on here, and then we want them to look like that. Right-clicking, again, rotates the camera, and you can click and drag. And that looks pretty good. But we're going to want some other scientific stuff. So let's see, we want an accelerometer, yeah, definitely. But we don't want 4 of them. So we right-click until we get down to just 1. And we roll over here with the right mouse button. We're going to put a barometer on here. We're going to put a negative graviola. I have no idea what the heck that is. But it's science, so we're doing it. Put a thermometer on there. Now, let's see. We're going to need a battery to power all these things, including the probe itself. All probe sort of command pods need electricity, so that's the other reason I'm putting a battery on. We don't need that much power, but it doesn't weigh that much, so I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'm going to put that on, and we are eventually going to want to recover this thing, so we're going to need a parachute. Now, these guys won't fit on here because there's no hard point for them to connect on, so we need these. The Mark II radial, and so that we come down nice and smooth. We're going to put it on 2 times symmetry, but also we're going to need a decoupler. Now watch what happens when I put this on here. Boom. This little symbol over here, 1 second. Sweet. This little symbol over here popped up. That is the stack decoupler symbol. That means that when I hit space for staging, this will pop that off and we can begin our scientific journey. Now, I've got it on 2 times symmetry still, and take a look. Well, that just doesn't look right. Well, we can adjust it with the WASD QE keys. Q and E will rotate it around like that. A and D will rotate it around like that. W and S will rotate it around like this. So I think that looks pretty good, so we're going to put it on there. And you'll notice it got added to this stage. Now, we don't really want that because I don't want this and that to go at the same time. So we're going to add another stage by clicking the plus button right here. Then I'm going to click both parachutes, and you'll see they're both highlighted green, so if I drag them down to here, there we go. But again, we have the problem of my parachutes are going to deploy before I decouple with that, and that's no bueno for me. So I'm going to do is I'm going to left-click this and drag it above there, and then release. And as you see, it reversed the order, and that is a really good way to do staging. Now, we don't want to go too terribly high today, so we're just going to go ahead and grab up a basic fuel tank, a decently powerful rocket motor, and there, you take a look, that will light up. We can burn through this, and then when we hit space, which is the staging button, it'll activate that, and then when we hit space again, it will do that. Now, the one thing you don't see is all this scientific equipment, which I will get to in a second because we need to do a couple of other things. Being a rocket, it's not going to have too much pitch and yaw control, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to X is the quick key to do the symmetry thing. But you should use left and right click just to get used to it. I'm going to put these winglets on here to give it some stability. And then in order for it to not just be resting on its rocket motor, I'm going to clamp it down like that. Now as you see, these clamps are here, which means when I hit space, 2 actions will be taken. This motor will light, and then this will let go. These provide power to the ship while it is on the ground. Now back to what I was saying before I got wonderfully distracted. The scientific equipment will not start on any stage. So what we have to do is we have to go to action groups if we don't want to have to keep clicking each one. So we're going to click on Custom 1, and as you see, that turns blue. Oh goodness, hold up. Yes, mouse wheel up and down scrolls you up and down. If you click it and move in, like that, if you click your middle mouse and move up, it'll move in. So I'm going to click Toggle Sensor, and I'm going to rotate around here by using the right mouse button. I'm going to left click on each of these, and then what we're going to do is we're going to click Toggle Sensor. Now each of these custom groups corresponds to 1 through 0 on your keyboard's number keys, right below the function keys and right above QWERTY UIOP. Now, we also want to activate these. Now if you'll notice, I click on this one, all 4 of them lit up blue. I'm going to click Toggle, and the reason they all lit up blue is because they're all the same part. I clicked on all of, they're made with symmetry, that's the point. So, that looks pretty good. Let's go back to parts, zoom out a little bit. I'm going to click Save, and that looks good enough to launch into the high atmosphere. So we're going to click Launch. Lies and deceit, I definitely have not. So now, mouse wheel in and up and down will scroll in and out. Right click is still move around the camera. and I'm going to run you through the basic controls that you're going to need. Now, eventually you're going to need to get familiar with the WASD QE setup of Kerbal Space, but today is not that day. You just need to know two things. Well, three things, actually. T will toggle on your SAS. Now, you'll notice that light. That's great. It's on. That means this will consistently try to point this rocket at this direction, straight vertical. You can... Nope, not teaching you that right now. Never mind. Shift will throttle you up. Control will throttle you down. And one other helpful thing to know, no matter how throttled up you are, if you tap X, it'll immediately drop your throttle back to 0. So we are going to need to throttle up, and I'm going to throttle up to 80% so that I don't get a nice engine overheat. So this is a rocket. We're going to count it down. 3, 2, 1. Oh, goodness, look at that thing go. That is a lot of force. If you look over here, this is... Oh, what the hell? What the hell? Okay. We're going to go back to the vehicle assembly building. I think I know what caused that. We're going to get rid of this and these. What we're going to do is we're going to replace it with this engine over here because it has something called vectoring range. This does not have a vectoring range. So we're going to save up and we're going to launch. Clear the launch pad and proceed. Now hopefully this works because I think I had too much control surface on that rocket. So again, we're going to hit T. We're going to throttle up to 80% and then we're just going to launch. Go. Now hopefully this doesn't flip end over end. Now if we click this right here, resources, you can see the fuel is draining out, the electrical charge is remaining constant, and over here again the G-force meter is being okay. Now let's see, we're going up at a pretty good clip, and we're going to flame out here in a second, but that's not happened yet. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to hit space to detach that. Oh boy. Okay, that thing apparently wanted to go faster than us. We're going to hit space, and as you see, it levels back out. We're also going to hit 1 to turn on all of these scientific data points. Now, we're still going up, and you're probably wondering, if you're new to spaceflight or physics, why we're still going up. If you hit M, you can take a look at the map view. It shows you how much force that we had that would propel us up and then eventually back down. So now we're in the high atmosphere. We can right-click on these scientific devices. The atmospheric pressure is a lot lower up here. The accelerometer is at roughly 0. Temperature is minus 41 degrees, I'm going to guess Fahrenheit. That's pretty cold up here. Gravity is slightly less than Earth normal at this point. So now we're going to fall back towards the Kerbal Space Center. And let's see, there should be some debris around here. Yep, that's slightly higher, and I hope that lands in the ocean, because if it didn't, that'd be unfortunate. So, yep, we're falling, and from experience, what we're going to do is I'm going to hit T to turn off the ASAS, and we're just going to let the heaviest point at the ground. Now this has just been a nice about 2-minute flight as far as I can tell, and looks like we're going to come down a little bit south of the launch tower. Hopefully don't come down on the launch tower. What in the world? Oh, yep, there goes the other debris. So that's going to land in the field behind there, and it'll make a nice little explosion. Hopefully it doesn't land on the vehicle assembly building. Nope, looks like it might land in front of the vehicle assembly building, I'm not sure. Anywho, we're coming down to the point where I would want to start deploying parachutes, so what we're going to deploy. Sorry about that little hiccup right there. Good grief. I'm not used to this recording software yet. As you see, we've slowed down. The parachutes have now popped. and we're coming down gently to the ground, and we will be able to recover the probe with all its valuable scientific data for research. So, yep, this has been that one guy. Thanks for watching. I hoped that I was really informative. Leave a comment if you enjoyed it. And I will make another episode, and we will move on to manned flight.